Welcome to Girls in Aviation Day 2020. I am Isabella Lenhoff and I work at Viasat as a Senior Marketing Specialist for our Commercial Aviation team.
Hi everyone, my name is Jessica Woodlins and I work at Viasat as the Director of Aircraft Engineering and Certification.
Viasat is an American communications company based in Carlsbad, California. We're a provider of high-speed satellite broadband services and network systems for our commercial and government teams. Well, thank you, Jessica, for being here today. I'd like to start and just hear about your career in engineering. Just give us a little background on where you started and how you got here at Viasat.
Sure. Yeah, so I started my career in college and finished with my Bachelor's of Science in Industrial Engineering. I really enjoyed industrial engineering as a major because it was the intersection of kind of people and processes and tools. So bringing kind of the people side to engineering type work.
Awesome.
And from there, I started my career in a different industry, actually, biomedical, working for a company called Edwards Life Sciences and doing manufacturing engineering work there to support development of transcatheter heart valves, which was really fun. But after that, I came down and started working at Viasat because I wanted to try out something new, and aviation in particular was an area of interest of mine. So I thought I'd try out and see how I liked Viasat, and I've been here now for about 6 years.
Wow. So you're now the Director of Aircraft Engineering. So the girls who are watching today, I'd love to hear how you went from that jump from bio to aircraft engineering and maybe some advice on how you got into aircraft engineering or your best tip on how to get started.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think the best tips that I have if for someone who is interested in aviation is to just do a lot of learning and research in the area. So learn about what type of aircraft there are, what they do, how they're made, and then also who uses those aircraft, what different types of customers and organizations. We have a lot of different customers that we support here at Viasat, whether it's a commercial airline like American Airlines or a government customer, a pretty big range. So that's what I would recommend would be to just start learning a lot about the area that you particularly want to work in.
That's great. So the area you're in today, I would love to give the girls an idea of what a standard day in the day of life of you, or maybe a week, or some of your favorite parts of your role are.
Sure. Yeah, so kind of the day-to-day for me is doing a lot of talking and listening at the end of the day, meeting with a lot of people, discussing different designs or different development projects we're working on, as well as listening to my team about their recommendations on how to do something or implement or solve a problem, and working with them on putting the right solution together for our customer base. So at a high level, it's a lot of that. At a more detailed level, it's working with my teammates, working with my peers, doing financial type planning, again, helping business development with new endeavors. So it's a pretty big range of things that I work on the day-to-day, but I'm mostly here to help lead and help my team solve technical problems.
That's great. So let's maybe cover some of the basic terms for those who are just interested in aircraft engineering. Sure. I don't know all of them. I know you are much more familiar, but STC comes to mind, specific to Viasat, our terminals and our technology. If you want to give maybe an introduction to what those basic terms are and why they're important to Viasat, if any come to mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, Viasat provides satellite connectivity services, and the area that we work in is kind of the commercial airline space. So what we work to install on an aircraft to be able to equip it with satellite connectivity service is called a terminal, and that's basically a system of different boxes and what we call LRUs and components that connect all of those boxes together in order to receive service from our satellite and deploy it to users on the airplane. So in order to put that terminal onto an aircraft, we go through a project called an STC, like you mentioned. It stands for Supplemental Type Certificate, and it's basically a modification, an approved modification to an aircraft done after the initial type certification of an aircraft. So for example, maybe we have a 737 that's already been approved and flying in the world. Now Viasat wants to modify that aircraft by installing our equipment we would do that via the STC process.
Awesome. And for those watching too, some of my favorite components of providing Wi-Fi to American Airlines, JetBlue, of why you'd care as well, is we can provide streaming. You can stream your favorite show, you can listen to music, you can post your selfie in the aircraft, and it's very popular, as I'm sure we've seen on some of the data when we look at how we're using the Wi-Fi in the air.
Absolutely.
So I would love to know if there was a specific moment or a defining moment in your career thus far that you're super proud of, or maybe an award you've got that you'd like to share and maybe inspire some of the girls who are watching as well.
Sure, yeah. I'd probably say my most defining moment was when myself and my team delivered Viasat's first STC for our Gen 2 terminal. It was the first one that we had done kind of ourselves, which was a big step and development for the company in terms of being able to provide the solutions that our customers want. So that was defining in that I was able to complete that project end to end, see all the different stages that it takes to both develop a satellite communications terminal and then put it on an aircraft and then see it work in the field end to end, was just a really cool experience, and also helped me understand all of the different challenges and problems that we'll need to continue to solve for our airline customers.
Yeah. Working in a male-dominated field, not a surprise, with engineering, I'd love to hear your background on maybe some of the challenges you've faced and maybe some of the joys as well of overcoming that stigma and becoming a female leader in the engineering field.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest challenges I had out the gate was just generally being taken seriously, being that it's not very common, or you're not used to seeing a lot of women in these types of spaces in aviation or engineering. And so, representation is really important. Yeah. And once I kind of got to a point where people understood and saw my value and what contributions I can bring regardless of my sex or gender, I think that is really when I started to enjoy the job a lot more and be able to work closer with all of my teammates. So my advice for young women is to, learn about the different sets of technologies that they're interested in, ask a lot of questions, and just keep pushing forward, because eventually we'll get that representation.
That's great. And obviously you're a leader here now, and we're so grateful to have you on our team here as a director. And is there a specific leadership style or approach you have when working with your team that has really worked for you?
For me, I'd say my approach is first and foremost collaborative. I believe that everybody on the team has something of value to bring to the table. And so I seek to bring people together to share their experiences, their points of views, their ideas, and work together as a team to find kind of the best solution for what we're trying to do. And I find that that is an encouraging environment for people who are maybe not as ready or used to coming to the table and bringing their own ideas. It invites them to do that, and I think it breeds the best solutions at the end of the day. Yeah,
and that's really kind of falls into the Viasat culture. And is that one of the reasons why you chose to come to Viasat, or what drew you to working for this specific company when you applied here?
Yeah, I think the technology is what, and the market that we work in was what drew me to Viasat. I mean, the global aspect of Viasat and serving and connecting people around the world is super important to me personally. So that's what drew me to the company. What's had me stay here over time has been the culture and the people and how we interact and work together as a team. Solve problems together and support each other through that has really been kind of why I've stayed over time, is because of that kind of team mentality we have here at Viasat.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of your background at Viasat. You started in government and you transferred to a commercial. When you made that switch between those two segments, was there any challenges or advice again that you'd want to give of when you make that jump between fields? What was that like, especially, or maybe specific to Viasat as well?
Yeah, I mean, on kind of the positive note, I'd say culturally there wasn't really much change in jumping from the government to the commercial side. However, what was a pretty big jump was who the customer focus was, right? So on the government side, your government customers have different motivations, different needs, as say your commercial customers. So that was definitely a change in my thinking in terms of what I'm doing to provide our customers what they're looking for. But the team mentality and culture at Viasat has been pretty consistent, and I'm very thankful for that.
That's great to hear. So to close us out for Girls in Aviation Day, is there any last advice you'd want to give to the girls watching, maybe specific classes or some type of hobby that you got involved in at a young age that led you to a field in engineering?
Yeah, I'd say that, my advice would be to, again, keep learning. There isn't any one specific class or area that I'd advise, but keep searching and looking for things that interest you, that make you curious, and start just continuing to learn and find more information about those things. Learn what the problems are in that area or that field, and start thinking about ways to solve them, because that's, at the end of the day, what you do in the workplace.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Jessica, for joining us today, and we hope this encourages you guys that are watching as well to pursue a career in engineering.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.